My name is Dante and welcome to Story Hub. My friend Kate, 28, has a boyfriend, Jamie, 29, who she has been with for nearly 3 years. We met Jamie on a night out, and I would say that although he's Kate's BF, I consider him a friend. We share an interest in a particular sport that we text about sometimes, and if I have a spare hospitality ticket to one of the sporting fixtures, I will sometimes invite Jamie to go. Jamie's 30th is coming up and Jamie and Kate planned a big party, and I peripherally helped out with logistics when asked. A few days ago, Kate texted me. She asked if I wouldn't mind toning down my look for the party, and if I could send her a picture of what I was planning to wear. I asked her what this meant, and after asking several times if she really had to say it, she asked if I could dress verbatim. Basically what would consider frumpy because she really didn't want to be outshone at her own boyfriend's birthday party. When I didn't reply right away, she went on to say that she wanted Jamie's full attention that night, which she wouldn't get if I showed up dressed properly. I was a bit annoyed by what she was implying, so I said if I was going to be so much of a concern for her, I'd rather just politely decline the invitation. Kate freaked out, saying I was being immature by not coming just because I couldn't steal the spotlight. I said it wasn't about that. It was about her making me responsible for whether or not I draw her boyfriend's attention, which is something I've never tried to do nor done as far as I'm aware. She then said it was really important to Jamie that she stand out because his friends and colleagues would be there. I just told her that again. If she was so worried I was going to be distracting everyone, I'd rather not come than feel humiliated from now until the event. I said I would send her Jamie's gift and she could tell him why I wasn't coming. I guess she didn't tell him the reason because Jamie messaged me saying he knows I'm booked the night of the party, but he'd really like it if I could be there, and asked if I could reorganize so I could come. I hadn't replied, but I got a message from Kate saying she knows Jamie is trying to get me to come and please could I just put my pride aside and come to the party. I asked if she was going to ditch the outfit policing, but she said no, so I said I would not be coming. She didn't reply, but I've since received a couple of texts from mutual friends saying that while her request is ridiculous, Kate is aware of that. She's just desperate to be seen a certain way, and even if it's pathetic, I would probably feel the same way in her shoes. Other friends I've told, who don't know Kate, say I should not bow to the pressure and that she's nuts for even asking, and I don't disagree. But also I feel bad skipping the party when it's Jamie's birthday and he asked specifically that I come. So, should I be going? Update. As surprised as I was that so many people said to tell Jamie, I did realize it was the right thing to do. So, I texted him and told him that Kate was insisting I dressed a certain way. Jamie called and explained. A couple of months ago, Jamie and Kate were out with a few of his friends. These same friends that I mentioned in my comments are not fond of Kate, and everyone had had a lot to drink. They were talking about how they met their SOs, and the story of Jamie and Kate meeting came up. Apparently, during the telling of the story, Kate asked Jamie why he had decided to hit on her rather than me, and one of his friends joked that it was because he knew he didn't have a shot with the hot one. Kate asked if this was true, and Jamie, having had way too much to drink, explained in a way that made it sound kind of true. He said he did notice me that night and thought I was attractive, just seeing me. He said he would never have approached me because he knew he would never have a chance with someone like me. So in that way, his friend was right. He said that speaking to Kate was the absolute best outcome because he loves her and plans on spending the rest of his life with her. But even knowing this, Kate has taken this extremely hard, and even though she says she is over it, he's noticed changes in her behavior that seem to be related to that. He also admitted that he'd been planning to propose to Kate at the party, and that is why he'd wanted me to be there. But after hearing this on top of the way she has been handling the situation previously, he won't be doing that anymore. After speaking to Jamie, I called Kate. She admitted that she had tied a lot of her self-worth in the fact that she'd finally been picked over me, and now it felt like that wasn't true. She apologized for trying to solve her insecurities through me, but also said she wasn't sure she would be able to have me in her life as much as I had been with the way she's been feeling. As hurt as I was, I said I understood. She said she still wanted me to come to the party, since I'd helped organize it and she obviously dropped the absurd dress code, so I will be going to the party. I trust that Kate will communicate her boundaries to Jamie, but I don't plan on inviting him to any more events for the foreseeable future. I'm really sad that I've probably lost a longtime friend over the drunken awkwardness of other people, but I also get that Kate can't help how she feels, and frankly it's for the best not to be in a secret competition. So, yeah, I'm hurt, but I'm going to the party. Not a satisfying update, but an honest one. Update. Going through these comments has actually brought up a couple of memories that have, in hindsight, made me a bit uncomfortable, and I actually don't think I will end up going to this party. As much as the mutual friends will have questions and I don't know how much of the truth I will end up telling, I feel too weird right now to continue to be involved in this situation. Not the idiot. Jamie sounds like a real piece of work with bad taste in friends. So you dodged a bullet there. That's not something you should say in front of your partner. I hope Kate gets out of this relationship before it gets any more serious and you two can mend fences. But either way, be glad he didn't think he had a shot with you and that you can just walk away from this drama-filled mess. Not the idiot. This is heartbreaking for Kate. You did nothing wrong, and she obviously was out of line with what she asked of you. But I can't imagine hearing your partner say that would be an easy thing to get over, especially if she's insecure. She shouldn't have asked. He shouldn't have said what he did or exposed her to his friends if they have a history of not treating her well. I'm sorry, you're losing a good friend over this. Would you be mad if someone tried to manipulate you like Kate did? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for yelling at my mom when she acted like nothing happened after my dad cheated? My parents have a great relationship. Well, that's what I thought before what happened. My parents usually have friends over and always tell me I'm free to have friends over. So it wasn't a surprise when I unlocked the front door and could hear my dad and another woman in the kitchen. Since my dad usually calls my name when he hears me opening the door, I thought he probably didn't think I was home yet. I walked to the kitchen to greet my dad, but then I saw it. He kissed the woman on the cheek, a woman that isn't a mom. Both of them were turned, facing away from the door so they didn't see me. My dad proceeded to flirt with the woman until I threw my bag on the ground to get their attention. They pulled apart and Dad called out if that was me. I walked into the kitchen and greeted him and the woman, then I locked myself in my room for the rest of the afternoon. I only came out when my mom came home. I helped my mom put away her things and put her weekly flowers in a vase before turning to her and telling her what I saw. She stayed quiet for a moment, then told me that she'll take care of it and that I shouldn't worry about it anymore. A few days go by and nothing happens. There was no fight, no arguments, no sour faces at each other, no divorce. Nothing that would usually happen to cheaters in movies and stuff. It pissed me off how my mom could continue to joke with my dad after what he did and still cook for him. Yesterday after dinner when my dad went to bed, I went to her demanding to know what's wrong with her and how she could go on living a life with dad who cheated. She sighed and told me to drop it, but I didn't. I asked her why she wasn't getting a divorce and why she was putting up with my past dad. She glared at me and told me to watch my tone and to not disrespect my dad. Finally, I yelled at her asking why she was defending him, and she told me that she'd explain everything once I cooled down. I told my brother, 17, the whole story so he could know the truth about my dad, but he seemed really irritated. He told me to shut up and not tell anyone else in the family about my dad. He said that if mom said she'd handle, she would. I told him she didn't and that they were still acting as if it happened. He glared at me and told me to calm down and talk to mom like an adult if I wanted to act like one instead of just yelling at her. He also called me an idiot for escalating the situation and making dinners awkward. I don't think I'm the idiot, but whatever. Am I the idiot? My after-school activities got canceled that day and I didn't let my parents know beforehand, so they didn't expect me to be home so early. I'm just gonna add the timeline. I caught my dad Friday after school, told my mom Friday night after she came home from work, waited then went at my mom Monday night, wrote this post an hour after yelling at her, talked to my cousin or 12 a.m., apologized after school, Tuesday, edit. I asked my dad about it, but he just avoided answering and told me that him and mom would talk to me about it when I cooled down. What do I have to cool down about? Edit. Going against what my brother said, I talked to my cousin about it since we're pretty close. 16 Fahrenheit. Basically, she told me two things. 1. Stop getting influenced by TikTok and Reddit. And 2. Said they're an open relationship. I asked how she knew for sure and she told me to give my parents time to explain this and that it took her mom a month before she finally sat her and my brother down after they caught her with a family friend. After asking, she told me this happened about 5 years ago. Never thought my aunt was like that. Edit. After sleeping it off and reading everyone's comments, I felt really guilty for yelling at my mom and now I deserve all those. You're the idiot, lol. I apologized to my mom once I got home from school and am now going to stay with my friend for a few days. Hopefully my parents will be ready to talk when I return. Update. After sleeping off my rage fit and reading some of the comments, I did come to terms that I was in the wrong. Some people had mentioned that my parents could have been trying to come up with the best way to talk to me, which I believe was true because they've never been good at having heart-to-hearts. So doing what I thought would be good for everyone, I made plans to stay with my close friend and let my parents be. I apologized to my mom and left for my friends. There was a little arson situation at our high school like an hour before school ended, so we all got out early and I decided to go home earlier. When my parents got home from work, we had our conversation. First, my mom apologized profusely for having me wait and not saying anything earlier. And my dad apologized for having me see what I saw. I accepted them but apologized to my mom again. My mom said we weren't planning on telling you everything until you moved out, but you're idiot for a father always messes poop up. She then told me that what they have is like an open relationship, but they never knew what to label it until one of their friends helped. She also told me that since they were being honest, it was her who cheated first and my dad turned out to be okay. My dad told me that if I wanted, they wouldn't have their friends around anymore. I declined that offer since I was already used to seeing them and I never minded the extra people in the house. My brother joined the conversation and told me the story of how he found out about my aunt and our parents. Later, my brother came into my room and showed me my Am I the Idiot post on his phone. Yes, he found my post FML. He pinched me and said he was sorry. To clear up a few things. 1. Many of you said it was obvious it was an open relationship, but like it wasn't to me. 2. A lot of you took the sentence, never thought my aunt was like that. Wrong. I wasn't judging or anything. I was honestly just surprised since I didn't expect my aunt of all people to like that sort of thing. She's pretty conservative lol. 3. I didn't want to believe my parents were in an open relationship since I just couldn't picture it. 4. My mom always tells me a few things, one of them being never let a man make a fool of you. Thinking my mom was just letting my dad mess around without any consequences was what made me mad. 5. I never wanted a divorce. 6. I referenced movies once Elmo. 7. My parents didn't gaslight me and I'm not traumatized. Everyone that shared their experiences, I hope you're at peace now. This was a roller coaster of emotion and I think made us all a bit closer. Not the idiot. I'm still mad at how they reacted ... like you were upset over something. Why the hell didn't they just go, oh honey, we have this like open relationship, we're so sorry you found out this way, this was not an intention, like seriously. I'm sorry, but I do get how the hell they just knew you saw something so emotional and overwhelming as a kid and yelled at you like it was your fault for not knowing. Sorry to be harsh on them, but how are they getting mad at you when they explicitly didn't tell you anything and you were dealing with something troubling? Do you think the parents are wrong for lying? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for not putting my mom in a nursing home? I live with my dad, brothers, and my mom. My mom is the most beautiful soul ever, always there for us, encouraged us in whatever dream or goal we had. 2 years ago my mom suffered a major stroke. She fought hard to learn to be able to walk and talk again, and we were with her every step of the way. Things were going great until this past year. My mom now has unknown neurological disorders that renders her paralyzed to at times almost a vegetative state. In between those times she's fine but can't be left alone. My dad is a truck driver but comes home every weekend and we have a nurse who helps during the day while we're at school or work. I was offered a full ride at one of our country's top universities when I graduated. My family, friends, and my girlfriend were so excited about it, but not as much as my mom. I was excited too, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't leave my mom's care to just my dad and brothers. My GF thinks I'm sick because I have zero problem feeding my mom, changing her diaper, bathing her, dressing her, carrying her outside to sit in her chair. Neither does my dad or brothers. My GF recently told my mom that she was destroying my life and it would be best if she went to a home where others could deal with her. My mom sat us all down crying and apologized to us for being a burden. Told us she was going to look at homes so we could be free to live our lives. When we finally found out why she was saying this, Dad lost it. I called my GF and told her to stay the FCK away from me and my family, that she was a cold-hearted witch who belongs in hell. She called me a sick pervert. Now I have people talking about how I'm in a sexual relationship with my mom. I'm still pissed because my mom is hurting and depressed. None of us want her in a home. But if it's really what mom wants, are we being selfish if we don't put her in one? Small update. Dad's taking a couple weeks off. I sent him a link to this so he could read all the comments. Granted, ultimately any decisions will be made by him and mom, but he wants us all to sit down together and talk. I do want to let y'all know that I'm still going to school, but instead of an Ivy League, I'm going to the University of Arkansas. My middle brother Jake is studying diesel mechanics, and Johnny the youngest has a ways to go before graduating high school and joining the Navy. Girlfriend is in the X category. I'll let y'all know what happens after Dad and Mom talk with us. Update. So in the span of just a few days a lot has happened. 1. Mom found my post and commented. She also found out that my ex had accused me of having a sexual relationship with my mom. 2. Yes, I got into Harvard, but I gave that up to help care for mom. I go to the University of Arkansas. My dreams of becoming a doctor haven't changed, just the path. Dad came home and took mom out. I guess they had fun because they left frowning and came home stupid smiling. This morning the smiles dropped when we got a knock on the door. Apparently mom invited my ex and her family over. In true hostess fashion, mom was very nice with the small talk for a few minutes, then lowered the boom. Apparently a few years ago mom took care of the ex's grandparents in a nursing home. She flat out asked if ex thought she was banging her grandparents because she changed them, bathed them, and helped dress them. The look on my ex's parents' faces was priceless. When asked what mom was talking about, mom explained that my ex was going around telling people that I was in a sexual relationship with her because of me taking care of her. They thought we had broken up because I had cheated. When her dad found out what she'd been saying about my mom and he apologized to us and then lost it on her. After they left, we had a family meeting. Mom said she wants to go home because she doesn't want any of us to have resentment for giving up being normal teens or our dreams for her. She also feels like she has become a hardship on Dad. Dad just looked at her and informed her that her place was by his side unless it was unsafe for her physically. Then he'd just move into a nursing home with her. As for me, I told her I'm fine with where I am. My brothers agreed. We go out with friends. Though most of our friends prefer to hang at our house, we go on dates. We're normal teens. We did come to a compromise that we'd revisit the issue in a year. Unfortunately, the stress has caused an issue, so mom is at the spa at the hospital tonight with Dad. Thanks again everyone. Not the idiot. You're right about one thing for sure, your mom is amazing. Well done for calling out the ex for saying such malicious stuff. For what it's worth, there are midpoints between assisted care places and home. There are a bunch of options for hiring in-home caregivers who can come in for a few hours a day, or every other day, or etc. Keep that in mind because it will help your mom feel more comfortable staying at home and not feeling like a burden, and it will help keep her at home longer. If I were you, I'd scope out some good ones and keep them in mind for when and if your family wants to do that. Insurance may cover it. Am I the idiot for calling my mom's fiancé a creep? We had been going through pretty rough months in my family. I am 17, male. There was tension between my mom and dad. They weren't talking to each other, and when they did, it was only to fight. After months of constant fighting, they decided to get divorced. That was 2 years ago. In NGL, when they divorced, the one who suffered the most was my dad. He never put on a sad face when he was with us, but I could hear him cry in his room when he thought we were asleep. For the record, I am the youngest and I have a brother, male 19, and a sister, 20, female. After this, the fighting didn't stop, so now they fight for which of us loves them more. If I am honest, my siblings and I are inclined with my dad. He has always taken good care of us, helps us through everything, and he listens to us. Not like my mom. She has never been there. There have always been more important things to attend to or pay attention to rather than us. I never minded since my dad was always there. My mom is a pretty important lawyer in our city. Meanwhile, my dad has a PhD in physics and works as a college professor. After their divorce, we stayed with my dad. We see my mom like 1 day per week and only if she has time. We kinda never see her because she always reschedules. So months ago, my mom told us she was going to get married to this dude who we had never seen. His name is Richard, but asked us to call him Rick. She said we all should get along. Since then, it has been a nightmare. Don't get me wrong, he is cool, I guess, but I do find him a bit odd. He always tries to spend his time with me and buys me stuff like clothes, books, etc. He even asks me when I'm available so we can have dinner. I mean, I'm polite towards him, but I just can't connect with him. I feel like it's a forced relationship, and he is not like that with my other siblings. Well, my dad too. He is civil towards him, but there's def tension between them. Last week, my brother wanted to try a new recipe. He loves cooking, so he invited my mom and Rick. At first, we were surprised my mom and dad kept civil with each other. We were having a nice conversation. But Rick kept complimenting us, specifically me, that I was an incredible person, very smart, blah, blah. My dad agreed, but this dude kept insisting we were so much alike and that by spending so much time with him, he considers me already his son. That def hurt my dad, and I just lost it. I told him to leave me alone. He was being a creep. My dad told me to not call Rick names, and my mom did too. She told me that I was being a brat and that I should behave because Rick will be part of my family and another parental figure to me. I said he wouldn't and that I won't go to her wedding if she marries a creep like him. I stormed off and went to my room. My siblings don't think I am in the wrong here, but my mom insists I was a spoiled brat, and I should apologize to Rick. Am I the idiot? Note, Dan, I only came here to find out if I was in the wrong. I just don't know what to say to you. I added the quotation marks to be sarcastic since I don't think we look so alike as he says. Now you really have me worried and wondering. Update. So I didn't want to address this with my dad right away, so I consulted Anne first, my sis. She is the most intelligent person I know, so I asked her. She had the same feeling as me, that Rick was getting way too close to me, and in comparison to her, he is stone cold. Now every time Rick wants to spend time with me, they'll be there too, Anne and Leo my brother. And just like you guys, she asked me to talk to my dad. I did. I sat with my dad and told him about everything. That I didn't feel comfortable around Rick anymore. I appreciated all the effort, but he was pushing way too hard my boundaries. And, like you advised, if mom doesn't understand she can't force a relationship with an actual stranger on me, then I'd rather stop seeing her. My dad understood. He asked me to forgive him for not knowing my feelings toward Rich. He did say that Rick is trying the best he can to get to know each one of us, but he has no say on when we should open up or act like a stalker. He said he'll talk to them, but I told him I'd rather do it since mom may act like I am not being serious or worse. We'll have dinner with them, and Leo and I, next Wednesday, so wish me luck. Update. As I said in my last edit, we went to dinner. At first, everything was silent, but then Anne broke the ice by thanking my mom and Rick for spending time with us and that we should discuss important matters. I didn't know about this, but my mom has been awful to Anne and Leo this week. They addressed that if she wants us to be part of her life, then some changes should be made. After they established their points, it was my turn. I started by stating Rick's presence has been bothering me since day one. Even if I should have said something about it, it didn't justify his behavior. I appreciate the effort, but he has crossed my boundaries, and even if I am willing to have a relationship as friends with him, I'd not offer that option anymore if he continues this way. Also, I'll soon be an adult, so I don't need a parental figure. I already have one. Then pointed out that my mom was allowing this kind of behavior, and it is wrong. If she is not willing to act as a parent and understand my feelings, not only mine but my siblings too, then we'd rather cut our losses. My mom tried to justify her actions. Rick told her to shut up and listen to us. She stormed out of the restaurant, but he stayed. He looked sad and apologized for all this. He didn't mean for this to happen. He asked Anne and Leo if they could give us some space so he and I could talk. Leo grabbed me, but Anne gave him a look, so he let go of me and went to a close table. Rick apologized again, saying he is not like that and the feeling he might not connect with me took out the best on him. Then told me he is my bio dad. My mom was supposed to tell me today, but she cowardly left. He doesn't expect me to accept him in my life, but if ever want to know him or need anything, he'll always be there. When we came back home, I asked my dad. He hugged me and told me everything he knew about it. The thing is, they don't know. The reason my parents divorced was because my mom cheated on him, and after she broke up with Rick, she was pregnant with me. My dad suspected it but never confirmed it. When they divorced, my mom out of rage told him I wasn't his son. Then Rick contacted him to talk about it. He told me, however, I feel it's okay. I shouldn't feel pressured to act in a certain way. If I want to get tested, he'll help me. And no matter what that paper says, his love for me won't change. I'll always be his son. I'm not sure how to feel, but I asked Rick to give me space so I could think about all of this. Also asked my dad if we could just simply be out of our mom's life. I don't want to be involved with her, and neither my siblings. If I am honest, I don't know if I ever want to get tested or at the least allow Rick to be part of my life, but I feel grateful for the family I have, and all the support and love my dad and siblings have given to me. Not the idiot, and I'm glad you have more info. Sounds like Rick might be okay, just a bit awkward, a bit trying to make up for things. Maybe it would be worth giving him a chance. That's up to you. Really, this sounds like a mess your mom created and sustained. Understand why you want to be away from her. It is possible that Rick has mixed feelings about your mom and that he might want a relationship with you more than with her. Hard to tell. Anyway, it's your choice how to approach all this. Do you think he's a creep? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I an idiot for making my son apologize to the girl he bullied? My female 36, son, male 14, has been acting out a lot. I'm trying to give him appropriate consequences, etc., but his father, my ex, just undoes everything I try to implement. My ex, male 36, doesn't care if our son does anything as long as it doesn't affect his athletic abilities, and it's created a cool dad and evil mom dynamic. Anyways, I had a mini vacation planned for the weekend. I have a family-owned house in this beach town, and my son and stepdaughters love going down there. The thing is, I got a call from a friend saying that her daughter is a mess because of my son. He asked the poor girl out, and when she said yes, he laughed at her and said some really cruel things. I was horrified. I asked him about it and he rolled his eyes and told me that it was just a joke. When I tried telling him that these jokes hurt, he told me I was being ridiculous and that his dad and stepmom would think it's funny. He then said that he wishes I was as cool as his stepmom. I told him that I'm his mother and that my first priority is his mom not being cool. I then told him that we're no longer going to the beach house. He also has to apologize to the girl, and if he ever bothers her or any other girl again, then the consequences will be a lot worse. I then proceeded to drive him to the girl's house and made him apologize to the girl in front of her mom. He said he was sorry and I also said it. I bought her a necklace and took the money for that from my son's allowance as well. The girl was a lot happier and her mom said she appreciated the apology. While driving back home, my son started yelling at me and said that was the most embarrassing thing he's ever had to do. I told him to imagine how the girl felt when he did that to her in front of everyone. He just said whatever and was like, "Can we go to the beach now?" I said no, we can't and we won't. He started yelling again and said that I was doing too much over a joke and that if the girl accepted the apology, then why am I making things so difficult for him? He also said that since I embarrassed him, this was the least I could do. He later called my ex, who told me that I was a major off for being so harsh, and he more or less repeated what my son said. I don't think I'm the all in the slightest, but I see how I'm being harsh. Just wanted some perspective because my ex and his wife and my son are begging me to reconsider and relax. Am I the idiot? Update. Hi, I just wanted to make this post before I move on. I kept my word. No beach house no matter what my ex, his wife and my son said about me. It was hard and I broke down on Sunday because even though I know my son loves me and that he's just angry, hearing him say that he wishes I wasn't his mother over and over hurts a lot. On Sunday, May 1st, after my breakdown, I told him that he can stay with his dad for the week. My ex was going to have him for the weekend anyways. So yeah, Sunday evening I took my son out. I wanted to try one more time to make him understand plus tell him I love him, and that's why I'm being so strict. I took him to a park we used to go to, just him and I usually took him there when my ex and I would fight and he would leave us for days to see his sister. He was pretty moody the entire time and called me crazy for wanting to eat on the grass lol, but he complied. I asked him if he remembered the spot and he said yeah. I then talked to him about everything. I also reminded him that there is nobody in this world and beyond that I love more than him. He was silent the entire ride to his dad's house and I thought I fricked up until we arrived and he said I love you too, mom. It was so hard to keep the tears in. I had to take a break from driving home because of how emotional I was. Monday and Tuesday were calm and nothing out of the ordinary. Wednesday night was different. My husband and I were out while the girls were with my in-laws when I got a call from my son. He was quiet but asked me if I could pick him up. I called my ex, who just told me that our son was being dramatic but I was welcome to take him. It was obvious that he and his father had a pretty bad argument about something. I asked him what happened since ex kept telling me it was nothing. Turns out my ex cheated on his wife. His wife confronted him and brought up the fact that he cheated on me. Ex proceeded to insult me and call me names. My son heard everything and put it together. My son was distressed and I really wish he didn't have to find out. Not like this. When we got home, my son collapsed in my arms and kept saying he was really sorry for everything. I managed to calm him down and he fell asleep on the couch. I was stuck with him in the most uncomfortable position all night, but all I cared about at that moment was my son. I didn't know I could love and care for someone this much. I never planned on having children, so this was a huge concern of mine. But the love I have for my son is crazy. He's a bit awkward, which makes sense. 14-year-old boys don't normally burst into tears and not let their mothers out of their grasp, but it'll be fine. I know it'll be a very long road, but it'll be worth it. Thanks for being supportive. Not the idiot. I'm so sorry you're having to go through all this. It's exactly what I went though. My ex just wants to be liked by our boys and treats them like mates, no like children. There are no rules at his house. They can swear, go to sleep at whatever time in the morning, skip school. Neither them nor he gets up after being up all night. He's unemployed. I left my ex when my sons were 4 and 2. He was an extremely abusive alcoholic and still is, and he made sure the boys were told every visit that I broke up the family. How it was my fault that they had to grow up with their mom and dad in the same home and encourage them to hate me and tell me so. It's been an absolute nightmare trying to instill boundaries and for me to raise decent young men who respect women when their father actively did everything he could to tell them the opposite of what I did. My sons are now nearly 16 and 13 and 1. 16 doesn't speak to his dad and has refused to go to his house for over a year. He went once recently to see if things had changed and my ex decided to tell my 13-year-old that I cheated on him and he wasn't his real dad and he wanted a DNA test. Completely untrue. He cheated multiple times. My 16-year-old had had enough and called him out on all his BS, and even the 13-year-old didn't believe a word he said and refused to go there until he admitted he lied because he was angry at me for not answering his calls. I used to cry all the time. I was so worried that my boys would just adopt the attitude of their father and all I was doing to raise them would count for naught. But I was dead wrong. I taught my kids to be independent thinkers and eventually, they saw right through their father's friend relationship and broke down because they wanted a real father, not a friend. The 16-year-old hasn't spoken to him for months now and tells me he's just completely done with him. The 13-year-old still loves and adores his father, but is much less inclined to just swallow the lies and doesn't feel like he has to choose his dad over me anymore. Keep doing what you are doing and your son will not only be able to see and make up his own mind, he will be grateful to you in the long run. My boys are still sassy and think they know everything, but they are also polite, loving, and have a healthy respect for women. You're doing great, Mama, and things will get better, I promise. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to drop a like. Am I the idiot for gifting my mom and her husband a book on cheating for their anniversary? I, 16, love my mom, 35. But when I was 10 she had an affair and left us. I visited her as often as I could and she always seemed so happy when I was there, but I hated her new family so I stopped visiting. Honestly, we rarely ever saw each other after, just for my birthday and events really. She wants us to be close, but I want nothing to do with her new husband, so I've kept my distance. Except on February 20th my dad announced he'd be out on business till the 12th, and my grandparents are stuck visiting relatives in Italy, and so I really had nowhere to go and my mom jumped at the chance to have me stay with her. And just my luck that my mom's anniversary with her husband was on Sunday. I haven't had a good time here at all, so all I do is stay in my room doing homework or go out with friends to avoid family activities. It sucks seeing how lovey-dovey she is with her husband and how they seem like the perfect family with their daughters. The morning before her anniversary day she came to my bed and tried to cuddle with me like before she left us, but it made me angry like we can't go back in time and pretend it's how it was. So I just pretended to be asleep and stayed curled up and frozen till she left. I started crying cause of that and I felt angry and snarky, and my mom majored in literature, so I got her a copy of Anna Karenina for her anniversary. That book about a lady who leaves her husband and son for her lover. I've never read it, but I watched the movie with my girlfriend and I hated it. The anniversary party was on Sunday. Everyone was having fun but me, and then people gave their gifts. I gave mine, and when my mom saw what it was she seemed shocked but just said thanks. The party ended like an hour after, but at night when she was in her room I heard her crying really loudly. So I kinda eavesdropped a little and heard her saying stuff about that book and me and her husband trying to calm her. The next day at breakfast she left for work early before I woke up, and her husband straight up called me an idiot. And other stuff for gifting him that. It's been a few days now and my mom has barely talked to me. Honestly, I feel so wrong. I made my mom cry, but at the same time I don't want to be here, and she knows that, so am I really the idiot? Edit. Thankfully the mods have locked this. But to everyone who keeps DMing me, here's some facts to read before you do. 1. I gave my mom the book to try and get it across to her that I hate being at her house and being around her family. It hurts me to be there because I sympathize with the son from the movie, not because I want a train to run her over. I do not want that to happen to my mom too. I do not want my dad to get back together with my mom. He's happy with his fiancée free. My dad has his reasons for not wanting me to go to therapy and is just being protective for. Yes, I stopped visiting my mom cause I hate her husband, but she had custody of me on weekends or breaks. She could have forced me to be with her, but since being with him or making him be with us whenever I did go to her was more important, she never tried anything beyond the bare minimum of going to big events. Update 1. Posting this now because people keep messaging me about it. The day after I posted, I let my GF read it and she was like, "Stay with me, dummy." I told my dad. He said I could stay there and sent my GF's mom an email. At my mom's home I told her. She got really sad but said okay she'd drive me and sent an email too. I still wanted to talk alone to my mom like people said to. As she drove I wanted to talk like the school counselor helped me write a letter to read, like some people said to. But I just froze and she drove to a parking lot and started talking. She said a lot of stuff about the book, about still seeing me like I'm her baby, her not actually being happy and about us, but ended with her saying it's okay for me to hate her for what she did cause she hurt me. She'd never push to be my mom again, but if I ever wanted, she'd be there for me. But I don't hate her. I love her, so I started crying really bad. I've never had a breakdown, but I think that's what it was. I remember her taking me to the backseat and hugging me and me trying to say I love her while crying, but it's a blur. She calmed me down and I told her how I feel. I do want her to be my mom. I just hate her husband and I don't want to train to hit her. I even told her about when she tried to cuddle and how I feel bad now cause that'll never happen again cause I'm never going back to her house. She told me she knew I was awake and was mad at her, so I started crying again. She told me it was okay and she's wrong and we talked a lot, but I kept crying, so she gave me advice because my head started hurting. She seemed sad. I hate her husband but got really mad at him when I told her all the mean things he said to me and said she'd never let him get between us again. She said she'd take me to therapy with just her no matter what dad says and to spend time with me alone. She dropped me off and I've felt better since I stayed there until my dad came back. My dad promised never to send me there again and to stay at my GF's if my grandparents stay in Italy. He agreed to let me do family therapy with my mom, but he said he'd ensure it's appropriate. We haven't started it yet, but my mom has kept her promise to spend time with me so far and it does make me feel happier. I didn't think the last post would blow up like it did, so I hope with this update you guys don't have to worry much anymore cause I think it's getting better. Update 2. I've been going to therapy with my mom every day on Fridays, but we hang out just the two of us on Saturdays and Sundays. Like our first weekend together she took me to see Batman, and the day after we went to Boston Pizza. Since then we've really just been going on walks and hikes or even shopping, but I like that cause we get to talk a lot. And we talk on FaceTime every day. It really does feel like I've gotten her back as my mom, and that's what I wanted. The best part is that when we hug now it's like we're actually hugging, and before it was like I did it cause I had to, and I guess it just feels so special. Like I don't know, but I feel really happy, which I didn't before. I guess it was like I was missing something cause even my girlfriend has said that I seem a lot happier than before. Therapy has been really weird. It's not at all what I thought it would be. Like before the first meeting my dad talked to the psychologist for like half an hour like he was interrogating her, but then my mom and I had the session. It was like the psychologist was focused on that book and why it made my mom cry and everything. The sessions since then have been weird cause it's like I end up crying a lot, so my mom always brings a bottle of Gatorade for me. My mom does end up crying too, but she always tries to hide it and not show, and when the therapist asked why she said cause she doesn't want her crying to influence what I'm saying or how I'm feeling. I still don't feel comfortable going alone even though the therapist has said it, and my mom said she'll take me and is going to start going on her own too, but I just don't feel ready. Oh, and in therapy I did tell her I was worried that she was only doing all of this cause she wanted to bring me into her family, and when she figured out it would never happen she would just choose her husband again and leave me for good. That made her cry a lot and she couldn't even hold it in, and she was like it's because she's finally starting to understand that I don't trust her and I might never trust her again, and she knows it's all her fault. She did promise me again though that I'd never have to see her husband and she'd only bring her daughters when I wanted, and that she'd never let him stop her from going to my graduations and my wedding. When she kinda calmed down she did say that the only time I'd have to deal with him was at her funeral, but I don't want to think about that. I don't want to write too much about what happened in therapy, but I guess I kind of felt like I should share that. Easter was the best holiday I've had in a while even though I didn't go anywhere. My mom's husband took their kids to see his parents and she stayed behind. We spent so much time that weekend together, for part of it I kind of felt like a little kid again. I even got to properly introduce her to my girlfriend and to my girlfriend's mom, and we all had Easter dinner together. Like my mom made the turkey and it was amazing. I didn't know how much I missed it, but it tasted exactly like it did when I was little. And I did finally admit to her that my grandparents aren't coming back from Italy, and that's why I was feeling so down recently. I also admitted that Dad and his fiancée are going to move to Catania after I graduate and are going to stay there, and that I'll probably go to university in Catania and Palermo. She was sad and she did admit she didn't want me to go cause I'd end up moving summer next year, and that's not that far away and she probably wouldn't see me in person at all. But she did say she'd support me no matter what I chose. And a lot of our sessions since then have kind of focused on me going to university there. Yesterday on Mother's Day her husband went to see his parents again, and my mom and I were already going to a restaurant called Cactus Club together. I didn't know if he was taking their kids, and if he wasn't I know I would have felt bad if they didn't get to celebrate Mother's Day with her too, so I said she could bring them. I don't really know the girls that well, but it was still a good time. My mom brought her camera with her cause she hates using the one on the phone, and she got our waitress to take a photo of all of us together at the end. I did have the waitress take the photos again on my phone so I could send them to her and she could have them on her phone. Update 3. So, I guess to give an update, my exams are all done and it's summer break now. But I got into AP English. I got 2 lists of books from my teacher because he wants us to read them over the summer to be prepared. On one list it's books like Wuthering Heights, The Great Gatsby, Moby Prick and Frankenstein, and he said we absolutely should read through those since we'll be choosing 2 of them to do essays and stuff on. On the other list, it's just a giant list of books that he recommends reading to be prepared. It's a really big list, and of course, Anna Karenina is on the list. My girlfriend saw that and was like, well, good thing you already bought that one. Anyway, because my mom knows all those books, I gave her the lists before we went to our therapy session. She agreed to take me to Indigo or to some old bookstores to get me the best versions of them, because some of them are translated from other languages. I still don't feel comfortable doing therapy without her. I don't know, I just don't think that I'm going to be able to speak up without her there. She's pushing me to do it, but I just can't. She's even done some sessions alone through Teams. But like if I do it alone and I end up crying, I don't want the therapist to hug me, and if it's at home I don't want my dad or his fiancée to wonder what's wrong. My dad still doesn't like that I'm doing therapy. He actually had a really big fight with his fiancée about it cause when her niece and nephew move in, she's going to send them to therapy. He's like they shouldn't go cause they can't speak English, and it might turn out like it did for him cause he couldn't speak English when he had to go as a kid. It sucked cause I got roped into it and my mom ended up being called and she threatened to pull the custody card on dad to make it clear I'd still be going with her. He did say sorry to me after and that he'll try to be more supportive and get over being scared. Anyway, my mom bought me The Great Gatsby, Moby Prick and Frankenstein, cause she said that Wuthering Heights will probably bore me. And from the other list, she got me The Count of Monte Cristo, A Tale of Two Cities, Great Expectations and Catch-22. She also gave me the copy of Anna Karenina that I gave her and said she would like for me to read it cause it might help me understand why getting that hurt her so much, but that if it gets too much, I can just give it back to her. I guess I can. I mean, I saw the movie. How bad can it be? And my mom also said that she wants to take me on a trip somewhere in August. Cause if I move to Italy with everybody next summer, then we probably won't ever have a proper vacation again. I don't know if I want to go, but if it means so much to her then maybe I will. I just guess I'm scared that maybe her husband will end up coming even though she said that he won't. Not the idiot. And she's still with your stepdad. Seems like she's not fully committed to fixing things with you. And it's a major red flag if your kids can't or refuse to be around your spouse for any reason. She knows the rat takes joy in bullying her child, so why is it still there? It's grounds to throw him out immediately. How will she handle it when he decides to push her to abandon you a second time or insert himself where he is fully unwanted? I'd suggest bringing this up in therapy at your next appointment. Should he have forgiven his mom? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for telling my girlfriend she ruined my night by not leaving me alone? My girlfriend, female 20, and I, female 20, have been dating for a year. My girlfriend Jane and I have separate friend groups. Jane doesn't get along with my friends, yet insists she is brought along to our nights out. It's incredibly uncomfortable because whilst she's also a woman, these get-togethers are no partners allowed parties. Plus, she doesn't get along with anyone, so it's super awkward. I was invited out to one of their parties, and Jane got upset that I'm going without her. I'll be gone from 10 a.m. Friday to afternoon on Saturday. She has no issue with both of us going, but without her, it's an issue. I said I'd leave later and try to get back earlier, but she wouldn't have it either. I ended up bringing her along and it was a nightmare. The mood was brought down and no one really had fun as all my friends seemed to be walking on eggshells around her. When we got back, she kept gloating about how much fun she had. But I felt the opposite. I said, well, I'm glad someone had fun. She got upset and asked what I meant. I explained that it was a friend's night in, and she wasn't invited. She got super upset and pulled some crap about how it's toxic that I want to have a night out without her. She says she's hurt that I won, didn't want her there, and 2, that I said she ruined the night. I just wanted to spend time with my friends, one-on-one. Am I the idiot? Edit, clarification. 1. I mentioned Jane's gender because usually on posts like these, the no partner rule is because the partners are of opposite sex, so it's a safe space for the people to talk. Guys' night or girls' night. I brought up that she's a woman because all my friends have male partners, but it's still a no partners night despite the gender. 2. I am female. Jane is female. I am bi. Jane is lesbian. 3. All my friends are female. The party was a birthday celebration, which is why it was over 2 days ago. They usually aren't that long update, so the majority vote was NTA with a few. You're the idiot votes sprinkled in. A lot of people were genuinely mad at me for being in that kind of relationship, which didn't make sense, but what can you do? Another thing I want to address, a lot of people keep saying no means no and stick with it when you say no. I want to reiterate that that does not work with Jane in these scenarios. She would show up no matter what or manipulate me into coming home, or giving her the address. I got some good advice and used it to my best ability. I also feel I owe everyone an explanation as to why I was dating Jane. First, my parents were in a very toxic relationship all throughout my childhood. They despised each other but refused to divorce or even move out for the benefit of the kids. Clearly, that didn't work. Second, Jane's behavior wasn't always so toxic. But once she started to act how my parents did to each other, my dumb brain associated that with love. I know now that is not the case, but Jane was my first real relationship. The first was a few months that ended with me being cheated on. I sat Jane down and explained that I feel sad by the double standard between her friends and mine. I expressed that I have no idea why she's so possessive and insists on coming to every party. Then she said something I was not prepared for. I can't trust that you won't go and frick anyone whilst out because you're bisexual. She went on to explain that she finds many of my friends attractive and assumed I did too, and so projected her own attraction onto me and became jealous and possessive. She also said there's a 50% extra chance you'll cheat on me because you swing both ways. I brought up some issues with how she conducts herself and she began crying and gaslighting me. Actually gaslighting. But I stood my ground. As for why she's so possessive, in her own words, she just is and does it because she loves me. I was shocked. I needed time to cool down and think, but I made the decision to break up with Jane. I don't want any biphobia in my life. I told her as such, but she did not take it well. As I was calling one of my friends, I noticed all my cash from my purse, around 100 pounds, was missing, along with my card that has since been sorted. She got very angry when I called her out and I left for my own safety. I'm currently staying at my friend's house. Jane didn't want to leave and it was getting dicey, but I called the cops and they removed her. But I didn't feel safe being home alone after all that. I also apologized to my friend and she said it was fine, she was just happy I'm out of the relationship. This friend is ride or die, as I am for her. I asked if she, my friend, would dump me as a friend if I continued to be with Jane and she said absolutely not. What kind of idiot friend would I be? Who does that? So yay, a sort of happy ending. Thanks to everyone who gave me good advice. Not the idiot. I am so happy for you that you recognized it was a toxic relationship. I also recommend maybe talking to a friend or a therapist about your childhood and relationships. When I got out of a toxic relationship, it really helped me. It made me understand my value as well as what I should have in a healthy relationship. I believe it may help you grow and hopefully find a healthy relationship to be in. Not the idiot. I dated Jane for a while too. She would make me feel horrible for excluding her from girls' night with my friends, and would insert herself in every situation possible. I know how you feel, and I know it's hard to set boundaries with people like this. Ultimately, the best thing was for you to end the relationship. Well done.